Look, we turning conversation into application. This ain't for you if you can't handle deep communication. I see too many trying to teach when they need all the teaching. If you can't practice what you preach, then what's the point of speaking? Look, we thank the Lord for another season. Don't think they ready for you, Lee. I think them boys are sleeping. But we gon' hustle every hour like it's our last. Open up your mind, it's the converSAYtion podcast. Yeah.
Everybody, welcome to the converSAYtion podcast, where we turn conversation into application. It's been a long time coming. We got the preacher in here today, so I felt it necessary to go live about this topic because it was something that he and I had a conversation about off camera, and then just seeing all the different things that's going on regarding this topic, this issue. I felt it was necessary. But my special guest today is one of my mentors, Mr. Toson Knight. How you doing today, sir?
Blessed, brother. Blessed as I can be.
Yes, sir. Definitely glad to have you on. Before we get into the topic of conversation, something that I always ask my guests, if somebody had to describe you, if you had to describe yourself, what would you say about yourself?
So I would tell you, I was at Easter Market one day, and this guy, I forgot the situation, but I was running for office one day, and then the person was like, what did he say? I was talking to some of my friends, and so he even acknowledged me, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, that's crazy. Like, I didn't even think he needed to be acknowledged. It was like I just skipped over him. But, so the next time I saw him, I was like, I shook his hand like, hey, this is me acknowledging you. And then, and so my person was like, hey, man, he is such an a-hole. So if I describe myself, I would say definitely, I love people, I care about people, but I'm definitely an a-hole. But I really legit do a lot of work with young people, and I think if people was to describe that work, they would say passionate, and I show a lot of love. But then, like I said, in my own way, I could be myself. So.
For sure, man. Definitely, I could definitely confirm that you care about the young people, and all you want is the best for them, for sure. Because I'm with you on a daily basis out of the week, and just even from afar, seeing the work that you do and knowing the time and the preparation that goes into it, man. So I would definitely confirm that for sure. And again, glad to have you on. So I'm not a person. I let it be known that I'm not heavy into politics, but I can see what is at least a black and white situation as far as this is not hard to decipher if this is wrong or right. Sure. So I felt it necessary to have a platform. It would be crazy for me not to speak on the situation, even despite not being heavy into politics.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The Charlie Kirk situation
have mercy.
Has had a whole bunch of people in
way out there,
uproar, and like you said, way out there. So when you first saw what happened, what was your initial thoughts? How did you feel about his comments, and then even the assassination that took place?
So I was trying to share a lot. So when I would say it was definitely a bit of shock. Wow, I actually saw the video.
Yeah.
Of the blood coming out. I was just like, wow. Me and my friends were talking about it in the group chat, and we were just like, wow, that's crazy. And then to be honest with you, I have been very limited, knowledge of him. I started looking at different stuff. And then now, of course, with Facebook and the algorithms, it's all popping up now. I'm seeing everything. But, my initial reaction, any human being that's out there and, that gets killed in front of that, it was very shocking for me. I would say that much.
Yeah. And I guess my biggest thing, as you said, I didn't know much about him until this situation popped off, and just seeing different videos and different comments that were made, it was dang, this guy, nobody wants to see their loved one taken away from them, and nobody on the other side that feels the way that they feel towards him. Nobody is well, at least, let me not say nobody.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
I know, at least from the people that I saw making comments about the situation, they weren't discouraged, like they weren't upset that, or happy, I should say, that he was killed. But I think as a black person, it's kind of, you scratch your head at how all of these people that look like you and I are coming to the defense and support this guy after knowing what they know about him. So, like, how do you feel seeing, like, people, like we were talking about the other day, showing their hand in support of him? Like, what is your initial thoughts regarding that?
Well, you know, I've been reflecting about this a lot lately. I was thinking about, like, yo, I see how we all remain enslaved for so long.
Right.
You know, like, I see people that look like me. Not only do they look like me, they grew up in my same neighborhoods.
Right.
And to see them defend somebody who, like you saw what it was like growing up. Like, you know, I grew up in Highland Park, like, right? Mm-hmm. So I tell people, I don't care what you say. I don't care what what society can say now in Trump society, that, oh, you know, just pick yourself up and do what you're supposed to do and you'll be good. Like, you know, people are a product of their environment. You're not going to convince me otherwise. And to see people that grew up in those environments and maybe was like an exception to the rule, that's what I call that. Like, I consider myself an exception to the rule, but to see people that's like, oh, like supporting this guy, you know, I'm not even like all sad, like just, it just blew my mind. Not only did it blow my mind because of that, but one, because they never speak out about issues in our own community. And that's the part that really gets me.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. I think it's like, I, for one, am not happy that this man died, but I am taken aback because, like, all of these people, like you said, that grew up in some of your same situations, come from the same neighborhoods, or know what it's like to be a black person in America, and you're basically more, I don't even want to say compassionate, I just say, like, you're speaking out more about this guy. Not to say that you shouldn't speak out about wrongdoing or, you know, issues of other race or nationalities, but it's like, are you speaking out about your own race when you see it firsthand in your community? So I think that's the part that also has me a little, like, irritated, because, like, dang, when you see stuff on Metro, Detroit News, or when you seeing stuff, kids getting killed all summer at parks, where parks are made for kids to go and have fun, it's like, these folk ain't talking about that, or y'all not, you know, constantly sharing stuff or talking about your viewpoint on it. And it's not for, you know, y'all to share it for us to feel good, but it's like, it don't bother you that, or you don't feel a way that you're going so hard for this man. Not even, it ain't even the fact that you don't know him, because you've spoken about, you know, kids in our community that you may not have a relationship with, that it's like, man, this is wrong. Like, this situation that, or how this family is being done, is how this kid is being done is wrong. So it's like, I just think people are missing the point of, no, we're not happy that he got killed, but it's like, man, we see y'all. Like, I heard somebody say the other day, like, okay, I see how certain people are, like, you having so much compassion and sympathy, empathy for this guy and his family, but where's that same empathy for your own kind? Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people are frustrated about, because, like, man, are y'all going to these protests? Are y'all even resharing something that's going on? Like, it's like, man, you seeing people, like we were saying, oh, I'm super sad, I can't believe this happened. But it's like, why don't you react like that with your own people? So why do you feel like, in your opinion, based off what you've seen, like, why do you feel like that is? Why are people so quick to not be there for their own people?
I mean, brainwashed. I mean, that's all I can see. I mean, I see people, you know, they, you know, and I had a few friends like this, like, they've got around these conservative evangelicals, and the only thing, you know, they can focus on is transgender, homosexuality. Right. You know, those are the things they want to focus on. And I'm like, yo, all the stuff that's happening in our community, all stuff that's happening to our community, you have nothing to say about that? Like, so your Christian beliefs won't allow you to speak up for your own people as relates to, like, everything that we go through, even to this day. Like Trump is legit, like going out, talking about DEI, making everything. And let me tell you, like you look at, like you really want to get into it. I was watching some reports. Trump removed the head person of the FBI in Utah, like maybe a few weeks before this happened. So because of DEI, and put in somebody there that didn't know what they were doing. That's why they 2 to 3 times they announced that the person was arrested and they had the wrong person.
Right.
And the FBI director got out on national television talking about they had the guy and it wasn't the guy. So, I think like you're showing incompetence by just like the decisions that they're making every single day. They're being incompetent. And everybody's talking about us, we're DEI. But look at the people, he just got a bunch of clowns in there with no experience doing it, whatever. And so if you can't find yourself nothing in your heart to speak out about that type of foolishness, if you can't not even speak out about the violence happening in the community, if you can't do nothing to help, like you can tell us like, oh, like I'm telling you, like the thing that's really upsetting me these days, like pick yourself up by bootstrap, or I made it out, they can make it out too. Like, no, it's not the same. Like some people need support, some people need help. And how much have you done that? Instead of getting up here talking about, oh, I'm a Christian, and oh, he has some good things to say. I don't care about nothing about the good things he has to say. He also has some horrible things to say about our community, and that is what I'm standing by, and that's what people should see. Like, you can't be mixing. The Bible even says that, right? Like, you can't bear bad fruit and good fruit. So how do they coincide his horrible comments with, oh, he's a Christian? Like, nah.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and that's the other part that really aggravates me, is like they try to use God as a scapegoat in this case for what his behavior. So it's like the same thing that folks may condemn our people for, you condone it from him. So it's like, you may say, well, God don't want you to be that way. Like, yes, God calls us to love everybody, but he also doesn't want us to support wrongdoing, right? Just like he wouldn't want us to be happy that Charlie Kirk is dead, but he also wouldn't want us to just sit around and be like, oh, well, the racism is happening and you shouldn't speak up. Like you said, if your Christian beliefs or your title in the church or whatever is holding you, back from speaking up on real issues and social justice issues, then I don't think that's, me personally, I don't think that's you being a full-fledged Christian. I don't think you just say, well, oh yeah, we know God is in control, but that doesn't mean that I don't still feel affected or impacted or feel the pain that my people are going through, right? Yeah, he may not have said what he said to you directly, but he said that to somebody that looks like me. That affects me. That impacts me. And it's like something that you read to us, or you read to us all the time regarding Mamie Till, regarding Emmett Till's death, when she basically said, like, it's all of our business. It's not just Emmett Till issue. This could happen to you too. Yeah. Like, and we not far removed from those times, even on today, like in 2025. Like, so I just don't like the fact that folks go to bat for this guy, and again, that's a horrible thing to see somebody's life taken, and that's gonna be traumatic for his wife, his kids. But at the same time, it's like black folks go through that all day, every day, and it's like we so desensitized to it, we don't even care, or it's like, oh, that's just the norm. It's really like we talk to the kids all the time, like, man, this stuff that you seeing in your community, it may look normal because it happened but that ain't normal. It's not normal to not have your father in your house. It's not normal to be super young and you got to be the man in the house. It's not normal to see your, mom going through abuse, or you and your little sister, you got to fend for your little sister and you're only in 6th grade, or you going through all this stuff. And it's easy to say that, pick up your bootstraps, and right. I grew up with both of my parents in the home. I still endured struggles. I still seen my parents go through stuff, but I stayed in one of the most dangerous zip codes. Yeah. But at the same time, it was stuff that my parents didn't know, but they put me around people that could help me, because they realized that even though we his parents, this is our son, it's certain things that we don't know, but we know some people that can help him in this area. So it just takes us all working together, because you don't become successful just on your own. It's people that stand in the gap for you. It's people that, whether you come from a 2-parent household, a single-parent household, You got the best situation, you got the worst situation. Like, you need help.
Yeah.
And seeing our situation as black people is not that we want pity or somebody to pat us on the back. We're not asking to be greater. We're just asking for respect. We're just asking for equality.
Yeah.
And I just think that from my viewpoint, all these people getting, way out there about this guy, but you don't come back and pour into your community. I'm not saying you got to get on somebody's stage and talk about it, but it's some resources that you may have obtained from getting a degree or being in a certain program or learning a skill. Why are you not bringing that back to your community? So I just, man, it's disheartening to see, because it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say that black folks don't work together, because I've been around some people that look like me that work together. But it's like, as a whole, we need to take the resources that we've gained. You may not be the one teaching the resource, but you know somebody that has it. You need to be that person or if you find it in your heart to share that resource with somebody, I think it would be crazy for you to have a purpose on earth and not use it to uplift the people that you know are struggling. In this case, it's your own people. So I just, like, how do you feel in terms of, like, those folk who are Christian and they're like, well, I don't want to, I heard somebody say, like, I'm a Christian first. Like, to me, I'm like, well, what does that mean? What is that? Like, what does that mean you're a Christian first? Like, yeah, we love all people. I know some white folks, I know some Asian people, and I'm cool with them, but it don't matter. You'll never know what it's like to be a black person. Like, you'll never know what it's like to endure those struggles. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't love all people, but it's like, and you shouldn't stand up for other wrongdoing that's going on with other nationalities. But if you can't do that for your own people, then it's kind of like, so how do you feel about those who say, well, Christians not supposed to get involved in that, or, well, God don't see color? Like, how you feel about that?
I mean, I think it's like something, like, if you ever, a lot of times I hated history. Well, I loved history class, but I hated it. But, a lot of times you have to go back and see, like, the same stuff was said during slavery. Like, hey, be a good Christian now. The God said slaves were okay. Like, blah, 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 blah. So I don't worry about nothing foolish. I don't care what they say about be a Christian or whatever. Be a Christian and serve your people. Be a Christian and help your people. That's what I see it as. Like, don't come tell me about be a Christian. No, forget what you're talking about. Like, where was the Christian behavior when this brother could go out and say, anytime he see a black pilot, absolutely, he's going to think, whoa, I wonder if they're qualified, Right. What was the Christian in his behavior when he said that Michelle Obama, Sheila Jackson Lee, Ketanji Brown Jackson, where was the Christian when he said, oh, they took a white man's slot, basically? Like, so, like, this, it ain't nothing. I mean, he puts up a lot of stuff, and a lot of his little stuff, clips have been coming on my page. I've been just saying, like, yo, I see how he has some of these people all turned around, like, because they only show like him being kind of like, and this is what I get about like silly Negroes. Like, somebody can talk calm to you and act like he's making sense, and then they're all like, oh my goodness, he's just the best guy in the world. Like, no, he's a bogus guy who got up there and said all this type of silly stuff, and then because he controlled the environment, he made people that tried to challenge him look silly. And so I always tell people, like, no, I don't care about your Christian. If your Christian behavior, if you're a Christian, you can't speak out about what's going on in our community. If you're a Christian, you can't see like how he was a flawed individual, which everybody, of course, is flawed. But it was just like he was a consistent racist. He said consistent things that put down our race. Don't come telling me like, oh, I need to be sad that he died. Like, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm not gonna be around here like, celebrating, but at the same time, don't tell me that I have to be sad for somebody whose entire life was based off of dehumanizing our race. And so to see people that look like us that support this type of behavior is scary. Yeah. It's like it gives the Django type of behavior. Right. Like, I'm like, yo, no, like, absolutely not, bro. That's not what it is. And what I would also say is, like, just going back to like how people are even dealing with the situation, you have to realize, like, this is Trump's America. Like, Trump started with his insensitive behavior towards people like John McCain, who had a brain tumor, you know, who, if you look at John McCain's life, is a life that people should be celebrating. It's a life that people should respect for the most part, right? Trump clowned him, not only about his war hero status, not only about when he died, he still made disparaging remarks about him. So this is Trump's America. Now they're seeing the side flipped, and they're all like, oh my God, oh my. But Trump did this type of behavior. And that's why I tell people, like, don't try to get, like, you know, upset with us for following and really combating against, like, people like Trump, who has been out here doing this. Now, of course, any form of political violence is kind of scary. You don't want it at all. But don't come telling me that I have to mourn for this guy, that everything about him was denying our existence, denying that we need support. You know, he would talk about, it was something he would say like, oh, do we deserve reparations? And he trying to make these points about, like, yo, if we had enough funding to build up our communities, to build up our schools like they were able to do with their schools, then we wouldn't have these same issues. But it was by design. Right. They didn't want us having that type of stuff. They didn't want us having a good school. They didn't want us going to school with them because they knew we'll be educated, we'll be different people. And so, yeah, of course, we've seen some that have done a great job in their community, but others that follow people like him, that's a scary sight, you know. So
yeah, man, I agree. And I think, like, I just say how people try to dress stuff up as, like, one Christianity, or like I saw somebody saying, well, man, that's not very Christ-like that you know, which the guy that made this comment, he wasn't basically happy that the guy died. He kind of said what you said, like, no more, no less. Like, if, you know, it is what it is in a sense. But he also was like, man, like, why are we not speaking out about our people? Like, why are we not this adamant about issues that happen in our community? Because you don't have the power to change that in somebody else's community, but you do have the power and the wherewithal to change it in your own community, because you look like these kids that are going through the stuff that they're going through. And you can understand it, you can relate to it for the most part, or you know somebody in your family or in your environment that's dealing with the very things that we're going through as a society. And so I just feel that, you know, this is I will almost say my duty to, like, help my community in a way, because if I even heard it yesterday when they had the 80th anniversary for, like, the campground, like, if God's evangelism doesn't involve social justice, then that's not a correct evangelism. Because if you can't, like, oh, these people try to say, well, God don't see color, or like God is in control. I think that when I hear people, I think, because me, at first, that's what I was on for a while. Like, you know, God gonna handle this all good. And I still do believe that to this day. Like, whatever we go through, God is gonna see us through. But I think people say that in a way, and folks can take it as like, man, you don't even care. You just trying to throw something out there to, like, basically be done with the conversation. Yeah, but no, we need to have this conversation. We need to keep talking about, yo, why are people not, like, distraught by this? And I'm not saying, like, you got to be, oh, we can't go on, but it's like, no, we need to have some conversation about what are we going to do as a people to better the environments or bring resources to our community, not just look up and say, well, God is in control. We knew that already, but it's not to say that we don't still feel this, that we don't still feel the way that we feel. Just like you knowing all the stuff about what Charlie Kirk said, but you still are mourning him. You still sad. It's the same with, like, oh, no, yeah, I know God is in control and I trust that he's going to do what's best, but I still feel sad that I got to wake up and look on my phone and see a place that was meant for good vibes and for kids to have fun and play on the monkey bars and go down the slide. You got folks shooting.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, let's talk about that. Let's not keep turning about, well, God is in control. That's what you're going to tell somebody every time they lose their child or they lose their loved one. Like, yeah, we know he is. But at the same time, what are we doing? God has given us practical steps to deal with, you know, personal matters, right?
Absolutely.
Whether we look throughout the Bible, whether you see, like, oh, Mr. Knight is a mentor. We got a mentoring program over here that you can bring your kid to so they can be safe. Or you can come to Saturday Night Live. You can do all of these different things. So like with seeing that and knowing like the platform you had, the resources that you have, what would you say, like, how is Caught Up and how is the work that you do important part in the times that we're living in now, and to see all of this uproar about this situation that is taking place? How can Caught Up play a factor to where the resources that you have can help all this tragic stuff that's going on?
Yeah, like that. And that's a big thing we kind of been thinking about over the summer, because you see a lot of kids getting killed in our community, which is like devastating, honestly. You ever go, you know, to a hospital with a mom and you see her, you know, have to see her son with it, you know, who's been shot almost execution style. Like, you think about like, dang, like, what can you do? Like, what can you do to support and make sure this type of stuff doesn't happen again? And so, you know, and that's why I think like Caught Up is important, because we give these kids these safe spaces. We help them and give them, and always tell people like, kids who consistently come to Caught Up, you know, you don't see them involved in this type of stuff. You know, you might have one or two, or you might see some that like leave, might have been a part. You might see them get into some things, but kids that are consistently a part do not have those issues. And how do we make sure that every kid want to feel a part, or every kid in every neighborhood has those type of safe spaces and things like that, and have people like so if you're a young Black Christian, how much so are you coming to deal with those type of kids coming back to the hood, or is it too far out of touch for you? Or, you know, that's why I want to ask a lot of people, like, you know, like, you're such a Christian, you following after this man, like, tell me, how can you come back to your own community and give back? They need to see people like you that are Black, successful, Christian, you know, not brainwashed. You know, I think like, you know, I don't know, I think some people, they're so frustrated by how they lived and how they grew up that they just kind of want to just eat why, and that's how they get themselves brainwashed, because they didn't washed out all that. And, you know, if you're not careful, you know, that's easy for you. Like, you'll be able to see that. Like, if you're around those people who say like, hey man, you just like us, you could live like us, you know, it's nothing different. Like, you can't tell me there's nothing different. We went to 2 different schools. We were in 2 different neighborhoods. You know, like, you're not about to tell me that there's nothing different. You're not about to tell me that this is because of what we did. No, it's because of, I say it goes back to slavery, it goes back to civil rights, it goes back to us being able to vote for our own people, that they fought hard for us not to be able to do, to have basic representation so that we could get resources to our community. But we were represented by people who cared nothing about us, who took everything from our community. So don't come tell me, even now, like, if you look at what Trump is doing, he's putting us out of jobs. Like, you know, there are major, serious Black people right now being put out of major positions. And they're going to come tell us 10 years from now, oh, see, you all couldn't handle those positions, or they're going to find a way to wash that away. And so I always tell people, like, you know, we got to build, we got to work together, kind of come together. And that's what I love about Caught Up. Like, you know, you get kids, you get parents, you know, and they all be able to come together and be able to figure these things out in their life. And that's what I want to do more of. That's why I would invite people that are around here talking about, you know, they Christian. Right. I mean, this is crazy behavior, man. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, you know, that you could see somebody actively degrade. You know, like, you saw like the exchange I had with one of the guys online. I'm like, man, this guy is degrading your mother. He doesn't even think your mother has the capacity to be on his level. Right. Like, he automatically, and you somehow ignore that. Like, that is the most weirdest thing to me. Like, wow, like somebody can just disrespect you so much and you're good. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think, like, from a Christian standpoint, I think it's like, you can't, like, if you're really in tune, you can't turn a blind eye. You can't just, because you love God and God is going to protect you, that you don't. You can't tell me that you don't feel. Now, I'm not saying you got to full-blown hate other nationalities, but you got to deal with this stuff. Yes, we need to be loving. We need to be forgiving. Like, whether it's Charlie Kirk somebody else, like whoever. Like we need to be loving, we need to be forgiving, but we don't want to turn the blind eye. And then it's something that you said, and I'm realizing it more and more. Like man, these guys really don't want to work with the kids that look like them, man. And it's sad to see. They won't say it verbatim, but you can tell by what they post, how they act, what they say in public. And it's like, man, you endure some tough stuff. So that would be a smart thing to make sure that you go and help because you went through this. You witnessed this.
You would think that.
And it's like, the reality is, man, a lot of these people, like, man, they don't want tough time. They don't want to sit down. It's like, from the way they talk to me, I'm like, from how I hear it or view it, it's like, man, you sound like you're not even black because it's like, man, I don't want to work with them kids, or like, I don't really have time to work with those type of kids. Like, they are a whole different nationality than you are. And it's like, man, even as successful as black folks are, it's still a struggle, man. It's still, I don't care how big your house is, how much you're doing, you still are met with the fact that you can get stopped by a cop and you're not even doing nothing wrong. Yeah. You could get shot by a cop and it's wrong. Like, you're not even...
And nobody will go to jail.
Yeah. Nobody gonna...
Yeah.
And then it's just like with the situation now that they found out that it wasn't a transgender person or somebody that don't look like us. It's like, now it's just, like me and my brother were talking, like, they just gonna go as business as usual. Like, but they were probably hoping that it was a black person or somebody that was transgender. But it's like, now that it's not, it's like, okay, what can you say? Like, how can you really feel about it now? Because most of them, like I said, were hoping that
they're praying and hoping.
Like, I just think it's disheartening that, and it's still granted, like I said earlier, like, we can work together. I've seen black folks come together and work together, but I think there is still so much of a divide. And if we want to come together as a nation, not just as black people, but as a nation, as a full-blown community of different nationality, we got to have serious conversation. We can't just turn a blind eye, man. And I think that's the part where it's like, more Christians are speaking out about social justice. Like, man, because I can't just be up here preaching and evangelizing, but I don't talk about real issues. Like, I can tell somebody the Lord loves you and I can send them on with a track and all of that. But if I don't I don't have to go sit in a 3-hour board meeting, or have a town hall meeting to figure out, well, what can we do to help the young people? You can see up and down your block. You can see what you endured that's still taking place even a few years later, or 30 years, some odd years later, even after you were a kid, like, that's still taking place. Absolutely. So it's like, man, I just think, like I heard Pastor Wright say the other day, like, man, an evangelistic effort without social justice, that's not an effort. That's not because you can't just ignore that, man. Like, you can't just...
They want to ignore it, but then, you just can't, that's not something, that's a part of it. And God was like that. So if you ever watching God, and then another thing is, like, God, even the way God dealt with people, like, he, I forgot who was explaining this. Okay. It was like a pastor the other day. But he was like, he met their need first. Right. Like, then he ministered to them. These people want to come tell you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, need that. I used to be that person, so it's so crazy. Like, I always try to tell you, you can't wear this, you can't wear that, you can't eat this. But it's like, I'm hungry, like, bro. Like, I'll never forget, like, these girls was about to fight in front of my house. And I just went like, just chill out. I'm about to get y'all some pizza. I just got them, whatever, pepperoni pizza. And it made me just think to myself, like, we so worried about these things, these particulars, that we forget these are people that need help, that need support. And you're not about to sit here and, like you said, like, people, they don't want to work with those type of kids, or they think they're better, they think that it's not worth their time. And I tell people all the time, like, it is worth your time, and you better believe it, because these same kids you're gonna have to reckon with very soon. Like, whether it's you getting out your car trying to get some gas, whether it's your child being around them or stuff like that, you're gonna have to reckon with those kids. And so if you continue to develop a population that you feel like can be rich and off, then you're gonna see what happens in those type of situations. So I remember, like, I stayed in the, I wouldn't even say it's the hood. People say I stayed in the hood, but it wasn't the hood. But all around me, like, it was like young people, and people just always wonder, like, how your house don't never get broken into, how you never had no problem. Like, man, because everybody in the hood been in the house, you feel me? So they know, like, I show them love, I care about them. They could wash their clothes at the house, you know, they could eat there, like, so anytime, whenever I need, whatever that they needed, I would do that. So, like, when I would leave to go out of town, they would protect it, like, because it was like, it was their house, you feel me? So, I always tell people, like, you gotta be able to be a part of people's lives in a meaningful, caring way. Like, you don't give me a word of encouragement if you can't give me a bite of food to eat. Like, I don't need to hear your word of encouragement. Like, what? And so, like, I'm really hoping there's a change and, like, they really see themselves. Like, I mean, I'm hoping, you know, I was like, I wanted to speak out more about this. Like, maybe, like, because people was like, oh, man, I wish the Democratic Party had like a Charlie Kirk. I wish, like, you know, black people are like, man, yeah, we need people to speak up on our issues and what we're doing, because the amount of traction that he was able to get was just kind of unbelievable to me. You know? So,
and that just makes me even double down on, like, when you talk about the traction that he got, just imagine if we did that for the stuff that's going on in our community, whether it's needs or whether it's, hey, we just highlighted this kid for this. Like, just imagine where we would be. And I just, like, even working with the mentoring program, it is like really helped my perspective on a lot of things, because, like, yeah, it's easy for you to say, if you living good, even as a black person, like, it's easy for you to say, like, oh man, well, I did it. You can't, like, well, you endured some stuff. You still, even with you being successful, it don't remove you from the fact that things can happen to you as a black person that normally wouldn't happen to another nationality. So, and for me, again, I'm for right is right, wrong is wrong. So if my people do something wrong, I'm not gonna call it out in a negative way, but I'll be honest and say my true opinions on it. But then also, when somebody do something right, I'm not, you know, oh man, not gonna. Because we get a tendency with our people, like, we call out so much of the bad, but then when you see this kid doing good or this black person doing good, it's like you doing just like the people that control the media. Like, whoever control the media control the narrative. So, like, I was talking to my coworker the other day, and I'm like, well, it's a whole bunch of people out here doing great things. They got mentoring programs, kids is graduating, but that ain't highlighted unless it's, what you say, an exception to the rule, or a kid that's like, we gotta hide, because he goes with the narrative that we trying to push. So we'll push that. But it's a whole bunch of black kids doing well or overcoming obstacles, but that won't be highlighted. But what will be highlighted is the fact that, oh, this kid was robbing and stealing. And like I heard somebody say, he like, well, y'all over here mourning Charlie Kirk, but when a black man die, and he get gunned down, all y'all say, well, man, he was a drug dealer. He was this. He wasn't honest with his family, or he was, but this guy died, and y'all talking about, man, he loved God, and he did and it ain't like it's just white people saying it. It's our own people saying it more than them. Like, oh, well, man, he loved God.
And his last statement was disrespectful.
Right.
His very last statement, guy asked him about mass shootings or something like that. He was like, with or without game. Like, that's him, like, you know, perpetrating like something on our community. Like, oh yeah, the mass shootings, we get more of that with the gangs. And then I'm like, wow, like, that's kind of crazy. You know, like, it's so, like you said, it's always like people, they'll find everything negative. If a white cop shoots down a black kid, they go find everything negative about that kid.
Right.
So now when the tables are turned, people are sick that this is coming up. People are pulling up every comment that he's made. Now, I'm sure he's made great comments. I'm sure he said great things, but for the most part, you know, the gist of his behavior shows that he had no respect for our race, he had no respect for our women, and that, you know, like, people like him continues to put this in people's head that they are the dominant race, that we were not, you know, on their level in no way, shape, or form. You know, and I think it's just kind of sad. It's kind of sad, like, even way Trump's DEI, no DEI America, is a wild thing right now. So,
yeah, man. And I know we talked about the mentoring program. So, like, what in your eyes that has been recent or it may not be recent, what is your greatest joy, or you can say is your greatest accomplishment with Caught Up? Like, whether it's recent or just something that comes to mind.
I mean, there's a lot of great things that come to mind. I think overall, we're coming up on our 10th-year anniversary, right? Mm-hmm. So, sometime in like October, November, we're going to do this huge banquet. Mm-hmm. But something I thought was great was that seeing where we came from. We started at the juvenile centers, just kicking it with the kids there, and then we grew from that point. Just different things like that I thought has been wonderful for the program, and I just watched how much it's built, how many lives it's changed, how many kids went to college and things like that. So that's what I see is like the greatest part of what we're doing is that we're continuing to build and to do more, and that's exciting. I wanted to see like how can we grow and continue to do more. That's my biggest thing as well. So we'll figure those pieces out.
Yeah, man. I definitely, I tell people all the time, like, it's been probably one of the best things that have ever happened to me, just being a mentor and coming on board with you and just seeing the growth of the kids. And even like last night, Saturday Night Live, seeing all the kids that maybe I haven't seen in a while, some of them, or just seeing how when you take time, you spend time with them, you can see a change. And that's what it's about. I think so many people want to talk about, well, young folks don't like to do this. And these are the people that won't even speak to young folk or take time up with them to say like, oh man, I can learn from this kid, or there's some skills that I have that I can pour into these kids. And it's not to say like, you got to go outside of your lane, but it's something that you've mastered. It's something that you have great knowledge on, or it's somebody that you know that can give these kids free game or something that can change their life.
Exactly.
So like, for me, that's what I pride myself on, whether it's Caught Up at my church, at my job with the kid, like, and I think that's if we do more of that, if we stop being so like standoffish or, well, that don't involve me, like, how can something with your own race not involve you?
Yeah.
Like, how could an issue or the opportunity to help somebody, like you said, man, don't tell me about, because God is who he says he is. So you trying to bring up all these do's and don'ts, that's a turnoff.
Yeah.
Right now, there's rules everywhere, but God is just saying, hey, just come kick it with those people. Like you said about the kids in your neighborhood. They didn't do anything wrong to your house or to you because they knew, like, man, this guy actually took time with me. He cared about me when everybody else was just giving me. And I'm not saying you still shouldn't give people advice or great things. Like, yeah, you should. But if you can't find it in your heart to point them in the right direction, or you may not be the one that gives money away. You may not be the person that does that specific act, but you know somebody that can help them. So why not point them in a way that, like, everybody always talking about, well, we need more resources. Well, we got some.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we need to share them. So, man, wanna definitely say I appreciate you for coming on to the podcast.
Oh, for sure, man.
And definitely we're glad we were able to get this going. But before we leave, something that I also ask my guests before we leave is like, if you had to say, so the theme for me for my podcast this year is intentional clarity. It's not enough to have clarity. Once you get what's clear to you, how can you be intentional about it? Mm-hmm. What moment in your life currently have you experienced intentional clarity? Like, something has been clear to you, but you've been intentional about making sure that you follow up what has ever been shown to you, or like God is telling you, hey, you need to do this, and you follow up with it. What can you say?
Well, hey, if you have these deep questions, you got to send them out. But I would say this, like, recently, I was thinking about, like, I kind of been, like, a lot of clarity about just doing Caught Up on a consistent basis, maybe even full time. And I feel like I've got that clarity. I just don't want to do it. But it's not something I've moved towards yet, but it's something that I can see that I've got as clear as clarity in the last like few months than anything more to like, hey, you need to kind of like do your own thing and focus on building this program out and doing more. So that's what I kind of thought about, recently that's definitely something that is very clear to me. I just got to figure out, if I'm gonna follow that.
Yeah.
Because I always never wanted to do that for real. I don't know why, but I just never had the passion to like really do it full time. But it seems like more and more is being. I'm gonna have to do that, so we'll see.
Yeah, man. Again, definitely appreciate you, man. I'm big on giving people their flowers, man. So got a lot of love for you, man. I always appreciate what you do for the community, how you've been in my life, impactful in my life, and just the work that you're doing, man. And again, I always say glad to be a part of the team and help any way I can. And again, want to thank you all for tuning in to the converSAYtion podcast. We'll see y'all same time, same place.
All right.